How are you doing? Last time, we talked about, Albert Einstein, that conversation, that interaction. It's really, Hilbert lived in one place. Albert Einstein lived in another totally different location. Long distance. However, none of them know they're connected. That's what I call it. Even Albert Einstein didn't believe that. I call non-locality of discovery. Because he didn't see that. I see because from my meditation, from my contemplation, from my 50 years of inner space of that general conf practices. And I see that non-locality. I see that interconnectiveness without traveling, according to the space, time, without the interface or speed of light, according to our beloved Albert Einstein. So that non-locality of this discovery is that what makes Albert Einstein synchronicity. That simplicity is so powerful, it really sits in this episode, which demonstrated the non-locality without based on the past reasoning, the realm of thoughts, realm of logic, realm of logistics of past belief system, that is separation. But it is the realm of non-locality of human consciousness in connection with the cosmic consciousness, that a field of vacancy, that a field of a void. Two minds look like separate in geographically, but working on the same problem, but come up with the same solution, nearly same moment. That's reality. Because no way can see that from determinism point of view. No way can see that from our materialistic view. No way you can see that from the surface of that separation. Definitely cannot see that from our polarized society vision. It's way beyond that. The information doesn't travel at all. Doesn't have to travel. You think, oh, that space, this space, that entanglement doesn't need to travel from one place to another. It's totally immersed in the field, what I call unified field of the quantum consciousness. Both these two minds were tapping into. Like Hilbert later said, physics is too hard for physicists. That means the physics, you see the physics, everything's physics. You cannot see beyond the physics, beyond what Roger said. Plan no consciousness. What I say is the innermost consciousness, that the inner connection, non-locality. You don't see that. You cannot see that. What he, of course, Hilbert meant the deepest truth require a model of perception beyond physics, beyond mere analytics, beyond that algorithm, beyond that simple computation, beyond that known. The deepest unknown point to the third eye, the third mind. The intelligence arises in the field, beyond physics, beyond personality. The two observers synchronize their attention into the same unknown field. If you want to ask yourself, you can see if the deepest truth emerge not from solitary genius, but from the field between. How does that change your understanding of creativity, of collaboration, of relationship itself, relationship between people, relationship between people and the cosmos, between heaven and earth? In Chinese, they call it 天人合一. That's what it is, 天人合一. Let's talk a little bit about the geometry of the encounter, the point. Albert isolated in Göttingen. And then, you see, where's Albert? Albert isolated in Berlin. Look like isolated, because both of them work individually in their own building, totally separate from themselves, from each other, separated from other people who get into the research. Each believing work alone, but none of them see the wave, the inner wave. The letters not just carry the words, the questions, the challenges, share the curiosity, created the mind field, created the interference pattern. The equations became available, began to take a shape. Not in one mind, but not in the other mind, but in a space, in the field between. It's sort of like an ocean of the field. The field of equations merged simultaneously. That means the field, that equation, is not a discovery by one person or is a creation by another person. It's the discovery. Both tap into the field because the equation is already there, has been there. So, as if the cosmos itself was speaking through two different minds, two different thoughts. And then the third mind in that field gave that a birth. So that's our lesson. What is the lesson? Lesson for our relationship. Lesson for our relationship with nature, our relationship with the human beings, our relation with all conscious beings, our relationship with all different galaxies, billions of galaxies. That's why I say, I am, you are, each of us is the consciousness of that microcosm of the universe. You and me, none of us can arrive at the deepest truth without the whole. That means I cannot arrive at the deepest truth about myself without the mirror of another. That's the fact. The other is not an obstacle in your self-knowledge. Their necessity is a necessary condition for that. Aha, now we're talking. That's what I call linga. What is linga? The metaphysical intuition, downloading, direct connection. Then a high rises between you and me, all of us. Neither of us can tap into without the other. It is the field, the gift from the field. Claiming it as mine or yours, that's ego. Has nothing to do with the field. So let it go. Realizing yourself or itself into origin, into the field. It belongs to the field. It belongs to nobody, no character, no personality. Closing the old door, further open new door for the new discovery. That's what we do. That's my future innovative lab is doing. And by the way, I'm going to talk, since I already mentioned this future innovation lab, the innovation lab is about cooperation. It's about harmony. It's about you and me and all of us together to discover, to create, to be innovative, to see the future of humanity, to see the future decentralized education, to see the future conscious entrepreneurship. In the era of AI, and the era beyond the AI, the coexistence of AI and humanity. That era is coming. We're prepared. If you are interested, let him know. Let's cooperate. That's my call. And that's my invitation. So back to Hilbert and Albert. The letters, the conversation, the silence, the empty space, these are not really means to the inside, but they are the inside itself. That means the emptiness is the inside. Without ego. Ego, a lot of times, block our inside. A lot of times, our ego sometimes restrict our inside. That's what AI is doing. I read this lady's book. I just took a glance of it. Miss Howe. She talked about the empire of AI, of Sam Altman. Sam Altman's world. He wanted to build his empire. That is already the past. You build the AI of the past? Are you kidding? I'm not against Sam Altman, but that idea is totally obsolete. Shut it, cut it with a diamond cutter of that illusion. Because it's the wrong way to build a future with the past. It exhausts a lot of water, a lot of electricity, a lot of power, a lot of energy, and build the AI useless. Because it destroys the humanity. Because this is not a time to build empire. The empire is diminishing. Empire is dismantling. That's what I called 3 geometries of reaction. There's 3 geometries of reaction when the non-self meets image-based mind. the resulting resonance usually falls into one of the three patterns. That's what I, thought the other day, when I was in Florida. So I write it over here. Of course, recognize them is a part of the art, and it's a part of the imagination, it's part of the experience, it's part of the connection, all of them together. And I come up with this thing. The geometry of confusion. That's what I was talking about just a minute ago. That's what they confused, because they confused the future with the past. It's all the inner surface. The individuals like what I talked about, trying to use two-dimensional map, logic, materialism, past experience, and of predatory economics, the conflicts, the empire, accumulation, that idea to navigate the four-dimensional territory, to direct the future field of AI, AGI, or ASI. Of course, a lot of people say it's baloney. It is baloney to a lot of people. It is true. Because you cannot use the past to build the future. It's already obsolete. So like you use the old 1994 cell phone to build today's iPhone. That's what it is. It's obsolete. So that's what I'm talking about. These kind of people, not just Sam, a lot of people like that. My past is all like that too. But I get out of that, step out of that. I hope you do too. These kind of people of the past, they hear the words. They hear what I said. They feel my presence. But the receiver is not tuned to what I was talking about. Especially the frequency of the void, what I point to. Now look at my finger. The information is lost in between. They listen to my words, they quint at me. They have no idea what I was talking about. Trying to find the point, not realizing that they don't see, my hands and the way I point to. They don't see my hands, the space between my hand and also the moon, so to speak. That's my metaphor. So you may have inquire of yourself, to just for your own intelligence, for your own inquiry, for your own elaboration of your mind, and deep to dive in deeper into your own mind. Have you ever been in a conversation where you sensed other person was trying to figure you out? That's normally it is. Rather than be with you, how do you feel? How did you feel? Did you make yourself more understood? Or make yourself more understandable? Or otherwise, just kind of takes a glimpse of mind to dive in. Just experience, experiment. The geometry of entrainment, relaxing into the void. That's the next layer. That's what I did in Florida, somewhere. Because I'm relaxing, I'm seeing the great void. This is what I call the resonant communication. We have our attention on what? On the future humanity, on the future cosmos, on the future, what we can see when we unveiled the field. Our nervous system recognizes the home frequency of the unified field. The unified field is not in that nervous system. It's used nervous system to transmit, sort of like a transmitter, an antenna. Stop doing and start being. Let's start be human consciousness being. That's what I talk about. The boundaries between self, other, soften. Because when you have a conversation, when you have a dialogue, you lost that ego, you lost that boundaries, and then you become one. That's when the moment comes. Two localized points of consciousness realize they are what? The same infinite field, of that ocean of consciousness. We can always, as we talk, we can always reflect ourselves to recall a flashing moment of deep connection sometimes. I do. Maybe a deep connection with a friend, or with your lover, with your husband or wife, or with your child, or with a stranger even. What was that present in that moment? Just think about it. What was absent? What was coming out between you? Or both of you see. Just think about it. Or just dive in without thinking. Maybe something comes out. So the geometry of defense, the death of identity. That's the third layer. This is the moment common reaction for those heavily invested in the masks. So when you have a person really invested in the mask, I met a couple of people very, very invested in the masks. What are you going to do? To the ego, void looks like black hole. The void, to them, oh yeah, look like black hole. If they drop the mask, the fear, they cease to exist. They're going to fall into the black hole. That's the fear, because they're totally into the physical world, into the visible cosmology. You cannot blame them. That's what they do all their lives. A lot of people do. Most scientists, even nuclear physicists, that we call so-called particle physics people, still engaged fully into that endeavor. It doesn't matter how daunting, but they're in it because they invested all their lives into it. So there's no argument. So they scramble to put one more unusual of protecting the masks, become more argumentary. Why they become more argumentary? Because you touch the base of their lives, of their physical lives, of their bread, their butter, of their physical existence, because that's all they have. They don't have like a Max Planck. Consciousness is fundamental. They never get into Schrodinger's mind, one mind. They definitely never get into David Bohm the implicate order or John Wheeler's participatory cosmology. They don't. Because they are so stuck into that physical only world. You have to understand it from their point of view. The more logical you talk about, more argument, more logical come out. More important, the feel, the ego need to present to you. I'm a scientist. I'm what. Just to prove their existence, to prove they're still there. That's reality. So, no argument. Just let it go. Dismantle the whole thing. Be nothing. That's what I see. So, what I see at this moment, what you can see is that you can notice in yourself, right? The moment when you feel the urge to prove. Have you feel that urge? I have. I'm the master, I'm the coach, I'm the this, So, and then later on you see it's a baloney. But at the moment you don't see what's baloney. You're not that urge to prove something who you are. I'm a quantum physicist. I'm a biologist. I'm a neuroscientist. I'm genetist. I'm a politician. I'm a president. Have you seen that moment? Plenty of those. What triggers it? What happens if you let that urge pass through without acting? Don't even react to it. Let's see what happens. So, and then that's a compassion without argument, because without getting into that trap, and then let that person have a silence to land whatever that person is doing. That's my compassion. So we come to this topic, compassion, gravity. Holding the horizon, holding the space, let them do whatever they can do without interfere. When you encounter with that third group, the ones scrambling for the masks, the practice of the commune takes on a new level of mastery. Instead of trying to pull them into the void, which only increases their fear. The more you will pull, the more fear they're going to have. Because without that image, without that label, without that power of that ego, they have nothing. That's why their fear is more imminent. You simply hold that horizon, hold that space, hold that field. You, just like me, become non-judgmental. Let it go. Hold the space for them to how they're going to scramble, how they're going to collapse, how they're going to lay down their weapons. Because that's the weapon, the power. Don't interfere. The greatest gift of non-self, as I said, I'm nobody. What is the nobody? When you're nobody, nothing can against that nothing. The non-self can give the ego can that non-self give the ego? The greatest gift of the non-self can give the ego is the safety to be seen, even in the mask. See that way. Of course, you normally think, self can give the safety. No. But if you know and fear, at least on the surface, they feel safer. That's just how it works. Without this no self needing the mask to be real. Because it's not real. But you don't have to tell anybody. Don't say, oh, that's not real, that's illusion. Of course, I talk to you guys, always talk about the illusion, the falsified field, falsified beliefs. Because over here, we're heart-to-heart talk. I just want to give this straight explanation, what I see. But when you deal with a person who are so stuck, don't try to convince. Don't try to coerce. Don't try to, to pull people, to give pressure, to give that person more fear. Just let it go. So in my own experience, when I witness somebody scrambling, I feel a sense of compassion. That sense of compassion is patiently waiting, unease in my own being, and I say, I'm here. I'm here. Whatever you need. I don't need to perform to convince anybody. I don't need to say anything. Just be silent. When the silence is there, the silence will be there when the person comes in, when that person is ready. That means when you talk to somebody, if you're ready, the silence is always there, waiting for you. You can give whatever you need. Words of mind, of conception, it's free. So that's normally what I do, but I don't know what you do. Let me know. So at this point, we can inquire, what does it feel like in your body when you are waiting for someone? Whether expecting them to change, or is this a tense situation? Or is this special space? You have space? Or can you practice holding that space for someone this week or next week? Just hold the space. Can you do that? I don't know. Let me know. This is the difference between void that sucks things in destruction, or a vacuum that holds everything in space, in place. For what? For creation. You see what can be, what it can be. By acting at a gravitational well of the presence, you are not forcing the other to change, which I never do. You are providing a stable field, that empty space, where the scramble can be eventually run out of the kinetic energy. I'm still pointing to allowed their image, mind, to finally exhaust yourself. And you can do that too. Sometimes we can do, often I do another way. So I do a gentle poke with a quantum question. This is what I normally do. When the field is ripe, I feel a need to gently poke the vibrating field with a question. Sometimes I do. You have to see if you do or not to do. It's your choice from your point. This is not knowledgeable or logical probe. It is a vibrational pause. Sometimes I just breathe into the emptiness with the great pause of the cosmos. See what happens. It might sound like, okay, what is happening in the space between us right now? Just ask a question. Hey, what do you think? The space, we have the silence, the space between us. What do you see? Do you see anything? You don't have the answer. Now, I need to give that person the ease. Don't have the answer because they don't pressure people to answer. Can you feel the silence behind what I just said? Because I talked before to that person. Who is here? When a story stops. We talk stories, we talk different things. When that stops, when that speech stops, when that story stops, what is there? Who is there? These things within that space, to instigate the mind or just calm down the mind without any instigation at all. We can see and notice, see what happens. I don't know. May not be anything happen, but something often happens. Not just the other person, but the field between us. Not just, expect that person. No. It's both of you. Yeah. In that field. Maybe deepen. Also, maybe resist, because it depends on the background of that person, a background of you, if there's a coherence, or there's an incoherence that's against each other. The intent of the poke is to see if the interference pattern between you, that no self, and the other person, their self, has reached the point of constructive interference. Could it be a constructive interference, or could it be none? Could it be just otherwise? I don't know. You have to see the circumstances to see where, if everybody's ready, if both of you ready, if both of us ready, to dive into the deeper unknown. Your friend, the person you talk to, are they ready to dive into the unknown? Some people are afraid of the unknown. A lot of people are afraid of the unknown. That's why they stay in a box. But I like to be unknown. I like to get to the place where totally unknown. Just like when I'm staying here, I stay here. It's such a familiarity. I gotta really, feel, stuck in this place. You want to be out, get into a new place. But some people get a shake. So it's a different feel. But you have to see, can that person rise above, beyond that fear, beyond that box, beyond that always known, and to explore, to dive, to see, to observe the deep unknown. But to me, it's curious. The curiosity drives me into the unknown. That's the fun of it. That's life with what life is about. It's explored the unknown. But a lot of people just want to stay in the past. To me, that's a dead body. But to other people, that's the way they live. So you have to see who you talk to and give that person a space. Don't urge, don't give pressure, don't coerce, don't do anything. So let the third mind, the creative exploration, happen. When let that synchronicity happen. So let that flickering of light of the other settles into the steady human of your compassionate gravity. And then both of you dive in. That diving begins. And then we'll see what happens next.